Hey guys, how you doing? Hope you're doing okay. Gonna read through this full article, gonna play a video, maybe two, maybe three. It's in regards to this lady here that you see on your screen. I'm not familiar with her myself. Kellie J. Keane, a British women's rights activist, and she's discussing the transgender issue, or rather the transgender absurdity. By the way, I'm not endorsing this lady. I'm sure she's jolly nice. I'm sure I would endorse her if I knew more about her, but at present, this is the first time I've been made acquaintanced with Kellie J. Keane, and we seem to have similar views, if I'm allowed to say that. Perhaps I'm not. So the article tells us that Kellie J. Keane, a British women's rights activist working to address the transgender absurdity across the United States. So I think that means she's a social commentator. Perhaps she's got a YouTube channel. I don't know. Anyway, she confronted a man who claimed to be a mother at the NCAA swim finals, explaining to him, don't you mean her, that his usage of female spaces makes women uncomfortable. So we'll watch this video in just a moment. There's no need to read these quotes because we're going to watch the video anyway. Now the the lady concerned, this gorgeous lady here, this fine young lady, or perhaps she's not that young, but anyhow, this lady here, if I'm understanding correctly, is a biological male. If I get this right, hopefully I do. This person here is a biological male and was married to a woman, and this is kind of important, and fathered 3 children. That's right, this woman here fathered 3 children. At the age of 49, he split with his wife of 17 years and publicly declared himself to be a woman. So he did the whole self-declaration thing. I believe such and such, thereby such and such is true. He did that, you know. He's got powers beyond my capabilities. And then he later went back to identify as a man. Excuse me, are you allowed to do that? And then switched back again and currently presents himself as a woman. So, I don't know. So this lady to be sure, not this lady, but this lady seems to be struggling with the concept of gender. Seems to be struggling with that concept. She doesn't know if she's a man or a woman. There she is with testicles, fathering 3 children, and she thinks she's a woman. Oh no, she's a man. Oh no, she's a woman. Anyway, so let's watch this interaction here. I'll credit the Twitterer, Madeline Kearns. Again, this is at the NCAA swim finals. I'm not going to bother looking up what the NCAA means, but it's some swimming event, and we've got this lady here who, again, I think I'm suspecting is a social commentator. Maybe you're fully aware of her. There is nearly 1 million views of this, so we'll have a look.
On the basis of the comfort, on the basis of the comfort and dignity of girls and women, I'm asking you, telling you, please do not use women's spaces. It makes them feel uncomfortable.
My girls and the other women I am with are very comfortable with me in the bathroom.
Well, fortunately, I'm not your daughter, and my daughter is also not your daughter.
No, that's right.
And she
So
would
she
feel, she would feel very uncomfortable. No, you interrupted me.
Excuse me.
You interrupted me.
I'm not here for a debate. Beth, do you mind?
Right.
I would ask you to please call off your dog.
I beg your pardon. I'm asking you as a mother. I'm asking you as a mother. Do not use female spaces.
And I'm very uncomfortable.
It makes women and girls feel very uncomfortable. You are not. How dare you?
As a mother, I am very.
You're not a mother. You never birthed your children. You're not a mother, Dawn.
Right,
I took a job of mine, which is even more false.
Ooh, that was very interesting. I hadn't actually watched it in full. Look, to me, this lady, sorry, what's her name again? Kellie J. Keane, she's been very reasonable, very rational. In my mind, of course, what do I know? Very, very little. Apparently, I suffer quite heavily from a case of the wrong things. But she seems to be very rational, and the lady in the background makes a good point. Some people would say, I wouldn't say so, but some people might say that pointing out that this woman for this month or two has never birthed a child, that in itself would make her not a mother. Seems like a biologically factual position to me. And, you know, what have biological facts got to do with this? We could have another look.
On the basis of the comfort, hang on the basis of the comfort and dignity of girls and women, I'm asking you, telling you, please do not use women's spaces.
Yeah, I mean, look, this is her main point. Sorry, I keep forgetting her name. Kellie J. Keane. Seemingly, Kellie J. Keane's main point, or at least the point that she's presenting. There may be other points that she feels are stronger, but we don't get to witness them in this clip here. But what she's presenting here is her point, which is, hey, look, you might want to go into the ladies' changing room. You might want to do that. You may feel that you have a right to do that. You may be able to claim outrage that you're being denied your right that you believe that you have. You may be able to call to others to protect you because you are this trans troubled person, and it will work. But this lady's expressing other people's points of view, other people's opinions, other people's feelings on the subject, and she's representing other women. Whether or not she's accurate in her representation, you can make up your own mind. But sorry, Kellie J. Keane's representing other women in saying, hey dude, hey lady, hey chick, hey bitch, you might want to go into the ladies' changing room, but they don't want you there. They don't want you there. You may view yourself as a woman who just happens to have testicles and a penis and biologically male physical structure and features, but they may view you as something else. They may view you as a non-biological female. And you know what? They kind of have a bit of a point, seeing as they're factually correct. So that's Kellie J. Keane's main point is, look, dude, doesn't really matter what you want, yeah? The world doesn't revolve about you, love. There are girls in there that don't want to be leered at, or potentially leered at, by some fucking dude in a dress. Alright, and just because you slap a wig on and slap an attitude on, you know, I mean, she's adopted a Karen attitude, if I'm allowed to say that. She's adopted a Karen attitude, and by the way, I'm not a total fan of the term Karen, but that, you know what I mean. She's adopted that snootiness. So, you know, this person on the left here, she's adopted that snootiness, that condescension. I get to see this all day long in my own line of business, but you know, she thinks that that's going to win the argument, and it doesn't win the argument because Kellie J. Keane keeps her cool, which I would imagine she does a lot. She kept her cool. She kept focused. She knew what her point was. She had faith in her point, rightfully so, and she stuck with her point. And this guy, this girl, this woman, whatever, just falls flat in the face of it, in my opinion.
Makes them feel uncomfortable.
My girls and the other women I am with are very comfortable with me in the bathroom.
Well, fortunately, I'm not your daughter, and my daughter is also not your daughter.
Oh, that's right.
And she
So
would
she
feel,
should
she would feel very uncomfortable. No, you interrupted me.
Excuse me.
You interrupted me.
I'm not here for a debate. Beth, do you mind?
Right.
I would ask you to please call off your dog.
I beg your pardon. I'm asking you as a mother. I'm asking you as a mother. Do not use female spaces.
And I'm very uncomfortable.
It makes women and girls feel very uncomfortable. You are not. How dare you?
As a mother, I am.
I like that. This lady, Kellie J. Keane, refers to herself as being a mother, and she says, you know, I'm going to ask you politely, with respect, for you to be respectful of others and to not use women's spaces. A lady's changing room, a girl's changing room, a woman's changing room, a female changing room is not the area, it's not the environment to welcome in, to usher in these gender challenged beings. You know, it's not. And how can I say that with confidence? Well, I can't, because I don't know anything. But, you know, if I were to be able to speak freely, then I would say because we have an actual mother here expressing her view, and it just rings true, doesn't it? I mean, do you have children? Do you know of children? Do you know of any girls or women? I mean, how comfortable do you think they're going to be with their private space invaded by anybody that's inappropriate. I mean, I guarantee if I were to walk into a ladies' change room, and I'm not going to make that mistake again, but if I were to, I would get kicked out. I'd be heckled and harassed. I'd be called a peeping Tom yet again, and all of these kinds of things. So I don't do it anymore, you know. And so I don't get why this guy feels that or this girl rather, feels that she gets a pass. You know, you don't, love.
You're not
You never birth your children. You're not a mother, Dawn.
You never birth your children, you're not a mother. Yeah, I agree with that. I know I've gone on a very large ramble here. I know I have, but I don't know, a bit bored, I suppose. Let's have a look at this video. I've not watched it.
You have to take back the language. You cannot ever use the language of trans activism and give it any validation whatsoever, because that is the thing. If you can't speak about what is happening to women, if the word woman no longer means woman, and it means anyone who identifies as a woman, then you are in really dangerous territory. Cara and I went to speak to Starfish yesterday, and it's just really interesting that even in polite circles, even in polite Republican circles, they are using the words like trans, trans woman, transgender, as if those people are genuinely a different category of human. And once you say she, trans, which I'm sure I'm preaching to the converted, but once you say she for a man, or trans woman for a man, you lose the ability to be able to speak clearly about what it is and where that man is welcome.
Yeah, I think I agreed with most of her points there, I think. I can imagine, I'm not a psychologist, but I can imagine that this claiming of womanhood, this claiming of motherhood, this claiming of femaleness from those that are none of those things is kind of stealing, isn't it? And it's kind of stealing. It's kind of, you know, we've heard that term over the last couple of years, dehumanizing. Isn't this arguably, if we're to attempt to be philosophical or psychological about it, isn't this arguably dewomanizing to some extent? Seems like it's I can't think of the word. I'm going to say co-opting agenda. I mean, we have cultural appropriation. If you're white, obviously you're not allowed to wear braids. I mean, God, yeah, you know, that would be incredibly racist, Vicky. But what about if you're a man who co-opts being a woman? Isn't that cultural appropriation? And like this lady is saying, I think her viewpoint is, you know, let's not declare them as a third gender or a third entity. Let's not do that, because it's not actually the case, you know. So let's just try to keep things in the realm of reality. I believe that's what her message was, and I don't know if I fully agree with that. I certainly do like the sound of keeping in the realms of reality. That's how my brain works. I try to be reasonable. I try to be logical. And it's pretty fucking difficult to be that with the current world. You know, imagine if you're a child. Imagine if you're a child and you're going to school in the United States or wherever else. You no longer have a sense of national identity. That's been taken away from you in all likelihood. And you go to school and you've got trans flags on the school. You've got your teachers doing pride marches in the school hallways. You're reading books about how it's okay for Johnny to marry Jimmy. And, you know, we're talking about how gender is just a social construct and all of these kinds of things. It's okay for little Johnny to wear a dress. In fact, it's something that should be encouraged. Little Johnny looks fabulous in the dress. And, you know, all of these things. And it's just so weird and demoralizing, depressing. I mean, but think about the kids. How confused are they? You know, we've not grown up. If you're above the age of whatever the number might happen to be, but let's say 25, 30, if you're above the age of 30, I think it would be right to say that you've grown up with some level of normalcy where there has been two genders. But if you're under that age, you've been exposed to so much of this nonsense with the TV as well, cartoons. There's, you know, I've made a rash of videos about gay and transgender representation, or rather over-representation in children's cartoons. you know, I don't know, man. I don't know. So look, I've gone on a 15-minute ramble there. Hopefully you found that somewhat of interest. I found this clip of interest. I found this lady, Kellie J. Keane, of interest. Again, I don't know too much about her. I'm guessing she's a fairly prominent social commentator. She seems to have the skills to make her fairly prominent. So yeah, I look forward to seeing her more again. If you like this video, this ramble, like, comment, subscribe, and thank you for your time.